Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chesswise. Today we are going to look at the next Rook Endgame, theoretical Rook Endgame based on the pawn on 6th rank. So today we are going to continue with the second part of the previous topic where we discussed what is Philidor position gone bad. So here what has happened, in the last lesson we discussed the center pawns from bishop file, queen file, king file and to the bishop file. So they are basically same in nature. Today we are going to discuss what happens with the pawn on 6th rank when the rook has become passive and the pawns are of knight file and rook file. So this is the position with white to play. We will try to see if white is able to win the game. So what we notice here that the black rook cannot leave the last line. Suppose it is like Philidor position, rook wants to come behind and give check, then rook a8 would be checkmate. So rook a8, rook b8, rook b8 would be checkmate. So the black rook has basically got stuck on the last rank. But even if with white to play in this position, let us see if it's possible to win. We'll try to use the same method, the enveloping method. So rook g7 check. Now king hides to h8. So the first benefit of this position for black is this is a stalemate situation. If now the black rook can get free hand, it can try to sacrifice itself and lead to a drawish position here. But of course white has no such move to waste. So white tries to win by the move rook h7 check, kg8, and now white has two choices, either to take the rook to f7 or g7 check repeats. So either to take the rook to f7 or play the pawn to g7. Let's see a few options here. If the pawn moves to g7, at first it looks like now rook h8 will win by force. But here unfortunately comes rook b6 check and it is white who loses the game. Now see the rook has to be abandoned by the king. So after the king moves to g5 or h5, king just takes the rook. And white who was trying to win the game actually loses the game. So now we are getting back to the situation. So after the move like rook f7 or rook e7 or rook d7, wherever the rook moves, black can now either simply wait on the last rank by rook a8, anywhere on the last rank. And now again we see it's not possible to play g7. It's not g7 because just the rook is going. It's not possible to waste. Here moment we come back, then the rook will simply become more active from a1 and start giving checks. So this is the purpose of knowing the theory here. We come to know that in case of knight pawn, even the passive rook is able to hold the game. Let's take a slightly inferior case. If the rook is already placed on f8, there is one interesting tactic possible for white, but which doesn't work here. So after the moves, rook g7 check, king h8, rook h7 check, kg8, and now here rook h8 check. This kind of tactics is possible when there are two pawns and then white is able to win the game. But here after king takes h8, g7 check, kg8, and see playing kg6 doesn't help. If there is one more pawn, then h7 threat is there. When two pawns are there, such tactics is possible. But here after g into f8, just king takes f8 and nothing is left. So the position is drawn. So what we can conclude from this example that white is unable to win the game even if the rook is passive and pawn has reached the 6th rank. So because it is the knight pawn. Do note that after rook check, if the king manages to go to the other side this way, then the game would be lost. Then the white rook will just cut the king away from the pawn and the pawn would promote. So the king has to be underneath the pawn. This we had discussed before, of course. So assume that we will know that the king goes to g8 and h8. Let's look at the last case now with the pawn on the rook file. Now we have the case of the rook pawn here. Again let's see if white is able to set any traps or try to win the game on its own merit. So first let us look at the standard method, rook g7 check. Of course now if king f8, then there could be some possibility of going h7 and all. But even here what we see, h7, then there is rook e6 check. And again after the king moves away, the game is drawn. Here luckily king is able to attack the rook. So So after kg7, ke6, kh7, the game is drawn. But as I told you again and again, ideal is going to h8. And see, this is what I was trying to tell. The rook on g7 and the king on h8. This creates a nice stalemate-like situation here. Now, for example, if white goes king f6, then black can use here simple two-way tactics. One, rook e6 check. When king takes e6 and it's stalemate, see, king is unable to move. After the move king g5, now again comes rook h6. And we see that the game is easily drawn. King has to take h6, otherwise he just lost the pawn. His rook goes away, our rook will go away. And if king takes on h6, it becomes a stalemate. That is why taking the king on h8 is a good option during the rook pawn. Basically, rook pawn or knight pawn, we want the king underneath the opponent's pawn. So rook g7 check, king h8. What I was mentioning here, after kf6, even rook f8 is good enough, because similar situation arises after kg6, rook f6 check, again takes, then it's stalemate, so king g5, and again we have got rook h6, we get the same kind of position. So after king h8, if white tries to play h7, here nothing much can happen again, because if this rook would be away, then rook e6 check or rook b6 check would have given a winning position. But here the king can attack the rook, and now the easiest move, rook e7 check. Black is able to sacrifice the rook, king takes, and kg7, and again the pawn would be taken and game is drawn. Here there are several ways. We can also go for the move rook f6. When taking the rook is forced, and after the king takes the rook, it has become stalemate. Again the game is drawn. Let's look at one more possibility. If white plays the pawn to h7, again the king goes to h8, force this time. If king f8, then h8 queens. So king has to go to h8, and let's see, rook will try to block the checks. So if rook e6 check, I want the rook in middle or take the rook away also. Here also black has very simple, rook e6 check. If rook comes to f6, then takes king into h7, drawn, and once the king goes away, now black can start harassing the king by rook g6 check. This is another stalemate situation. Pawn is supported by the rook, king is unable to move anywhere. So see, constantly I will try to sack the rook. See, king goes to f5, rook check from g5. We couldn't give check from f6, rook would have taken. Okay. Now again see, king will try to hide away, then again rook check. Again king goes away, and this time very simple, rook e7 check. Now rook takes is also drawn and king takes is also drawn. So the game will be drawn. And if the king keeps on going away, check here, either we keep on giving check or we bring back the rook and attack his h pawn, and the pawn is lost. See, the king is far away. So basically after rook e6 check, king f8 only option, trying to hide behind the rook, but again comes re8 check. Now king has to take on e8, and the king gets stalemated. So knowing these positions are very useful when we are one pawn down. Especially we know that if it is g and h pawn, the rook can be kept passive. So especially during time pressure, these kind of positions are very helpful, because we already know that keeping the passive rook is giving a secure draw. There is no risk over here. We can keep on playing the rook on b8, c8. Usually it's best advised to keep the rook far away from the king in order not to allow any tactical ideas like I showed you, rook h8 and g7 check, and also rook should try to be as much away from the king so that the rook is able to give check from a distance when this king will not be able to attack the checking rook. Okay, so this was all about the pawn on the 6th rank. We will be moving on to next topics of Rook Endgames. I hope you are enjoying these lessons. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.